Our eighth contestant is Joséphine Lecharte. Joséphine is a PhD student in the Peace Studies and Political Science program. Josephine's presentation is entitled Collaborative Decision-Making and Learning Democratic Participation in Refugee Camps.
Thank you. This summer, my home country, France, will host the 2024 Olympics. Many countries will fight for the honors, but one group in particular has my attention: the 65 athletes that will compete under the banner of the Olympic refugee team. 10 years ago, this was unheard of, as only 10 refugees competed in 2016 in Rio. The increasing size of the refugee team speaks to a broader phenomenon, which are rising refugee numbers globally. The number of refugees in the past decade has doubled, and current events in Ukraine and Palestine predict rising trends. A question therefore facing policymakers is, how do our democracies absorb so many people, and what are the conditions that favor the democratic integration of refugees? My research shows that when refugees take an active part in decision-making in refugee camps, they learn the skills required for effective democratic engagement. I surveyed over 400 former Guatemalan refugees who fled violence and spent 14 years in refugee camps in Mexico, which are in red on the map behind me. The refugees who lived under a collaborative decision-making environment, one where they could provide input, be heard, and organize, generally spoke of exile as a moment of political awakening. The refugees learned that they had human rights, they learned how politics worked, but most importantly, they learned that they had the power to change things through democratic participation. On the other hand, the refugees living under an authoritarian decision-making environment did not enjoy such political opportunities and only provided limited input in camp administration. These two trajectories have important consequences. After 14 years in exile, the refugees returned home. The refugees who lived under the collaborative environment brought democratic norms and values back to Guatemala. Their communities grew stronger in exile, and they are now more likely to vote and protest. Now, I know that protesting is an Olympic sport in France that is not as practiced or appreciated in the US, but protests are actually a sign of democratic health and a guarantee of government accountability. In fact, just last year, popular mobilization dodged a coup against the democratically elected president of Guatemala, which shows the power of popular participation. On the other hand, for the community that lived under the authoritarian environment, social dislocation prevailed, leading to a rise in criminality. I took the picture on the bottom right of the slide, which is a drug plane that landed in the community and could have transported up to 800 pounds of cocaine. I didn't go check. To summarize, my research shows that when we work collaboratively with refugees to improve their living conditions in refugee camps, we endow them with the skills required for effective democratic participation. On the other hand, by failing to do so, we risk further weakening communities already shattered by wars and inadvertently repeating the cycle of violence. Thank you very much.
Joséphine, I hear that you're a rugby player?
I retired from my international career a few years ago.
So why did you retire?
I used to play for Notre Dame, and at the first game of the season, I got a triple fracture of the metacarpals. I completely shattered my hand. After seeing the medical bill, I said it was probably time to, retire.
So have you replaced that hobby with any new hobbies?
Yeah, I actually took advantage of the time that was left to do ceramics and to take up Latin dancing. So, completely different type of skills.
Thank you very much, Joséphine.
Thank you. Thanks.